You know that feeling, right? You're standing at a wine shop, just staring at this wall of bottles, and your eyes just glaze over. You see words like organic, biodynamic, natural, and you think, what does any of this even mean? Well, today, we are going to cut right through all that confusion.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. What is the actual difference between these terms? I mean, that's the big question, isn't it? And by the time we're done here, you're going to know exactly what's what. We're going to break it all down, nice and simple.
All right, first up, organic. The best way to think about this is as our baseline, our starting point. It's really the foundation for all the other ideas we're going to talk about today. This is where conscious winemaking really begins. So what does organic really mean when it's on a wine label? Well, in a nutshell, it's about getting rid of all the synthetic stuff. That means no artificial chemicals out in the vineyard where the grapes are growing, and way fewer interventions in the cellar where the magic happens. Now, this slide points out a really important split. See, out in the vineyard, the rules are super strict. We're talking 0 synthetic chemicals, no Roundup, no chemical fertilizers. It's a hard no. But then, when you get into the cellar, things get a little more flexible. The winemaker can still use things like lab-grown yeasts or filter the wine. So yeah, organic is a huge step up, for sure, but it's not totally hands-off.
Ready to go to the next level? If organic is our baseline, then biodynamics is kind of like organic plus a whole new way of thinking. It takes that no chemicals rule and just blows it up, looking at the entire farm as one big, living, breathing thing.
And that philosophy really boils down to 3 core ideas. First, this belief that the entire estate, the vines, the soil, the animals, the people, it's all one interconnected organism. Second, they use these special, very specific preparations to basically supercharge the soil. And third, and this is where it gets really interesting, they time everything they do from planting to picking based on cosmic rhythms, the cycles of the moon, the sun, and the planets.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. Those preparations sound a little out there, right? Like burying cow manure in a horn. But there's a method to the madness. That horn manure becomes this incredibly potent spray for the soil, almost like a probiotic. Another one uses ground up quartz to help the leaves catch more sunlight. You can kind of think of them like homeopathic remedies for the vineyard, designed to make the whole system stronger and more vibrant.
So, if a winemaker decides to go all in on biodynamics, how do they get certified? Well, there are 2 main labels you'll see, and this quote just nails the difference between them. They are the same religion, different churches.
This table lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you have Demeter. They're the original, the big international player, certifying everything from wine to grains to face cream. Then you have Biodivin, which is like a specialist club focused only on wine estates. And here's the key difference. For Biodivin, the entire farm has to be biodynamic, not just the grapevines. So think of Demeter as broad and Biodivin as super deep and wine-centric.
All right, we've covered the official certifications. Now it's time to talk about the rebel of the group, the one you've probably heard a lot about, natural wine. It really is the wild child of the wine world because it's less about a strict set of rules and more about a philosophy of doing almost nothing at all. And this is absolutely the most important thing to understand about natural wine. It is not a legal term. There's no official stamp. It's a movement, a shared belief system. And that belief is simple. You start with awesome organic grapes, and then you just let them do their thing. You add almost nothing, and you take almost nothing away. It's wine at its most raw and pure. So even without an official rulebook, the natural wine community kind of agrees on a few things. You have to start with at least organic grapes, and you've got to pick them by hand. Then, the fermentation is powered only by the wild yeast that are already on the grapes. No packets of yeast from a lab. That means no adding stuff like acid or tannins, no fancy high-tech filtering, and using very, very little or even 0 added sulfur. It's winemaking without a safety net, really. And because it's such a hands-off process, natural wine isn't just one thing. It exists on this massive spectrum. On one end, you can get these unbelievably clean, vibrant, expressive wines that are just electric. And on the other end, well, you might get something that's a little cloudy, a little funky, maybe even a bit weird. The skill of the person making it is absolutely everything. So, okay, we've gone through all these categories, but let's get down to it. Why does any of this matter to you? It matters because what happens in that vineyard and in that cellar has a direct impact on the planet, on the winemaker, and of course, on what you actually taste in your glass. Let's just look at the scorecard here. For the planet, these approaches are a huge win. We're talking healthier soils, less pollution, more life in the vineyard. Awesome. For the winemaker, it's a safer way to work, but it definitely costs more and is a lot riskier. And for you, the person drinking the wine, well, you're getting fewer synthetic chemicals and wines that can be incredibly unique. The trade-off is that they usually cost a bit more, and the quality, especially with natural wines, can sometimes be a bit of a gamble.
Look, at the end of the day, there isn't a single best way. It's all about what you value. Now you know the deal. You've got organic as the clean foundation, biodynamics as the holistic, cosmic approach, and natural wine as the wild, untamed spirit. So the next time you're staring at that wall of wine, you're not just picking a bottle, you're picking a philosophy. The only question left is, what do you want in your glass?